Tom Downey. That is Mitchell Renz. I am on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. He's on Twitter, Instagram, and pretty much everything at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, we'll take him. Jesus, Mitchell. No shame.
No shame.
Absolutely no shame. I don't even know what mine is. All right, we'll take it to some players who could be traded. We'll look through 15 players, all of whom, for the most part, have some type of rumor around them. Of course, the big one, Earl Thomas, has been discussed about as a trade before the NFL draft. He continues to hold out, and there's still really no end in sight right now for ET. Which brings us now to a potential trade here. We'll give you one trade for each one that could go down, but may not end up going down in the end. The big one, Earl Thomas to the Dallas Cowboys for a second-round pick. I still think, Mitchell, this is the, if it does go down, what the typical asking price is.
I feel like we haven't heard this trade at all, Tom. I mean, this is literally the only thing that's been going on down here in Dallas. And I mean, if you want to talk about a guy who's probably frustrated with a guy like Tyler Lockett getting $11 million,
yeah,
it's this guy, Earl Thomas. And hey, I would love to see that nice little star on one of his helmets. And I'm sure the Cowboys fans.
Well, the Cowboys certainly need Earl Thomas, at least in terms of their overall production right now at strong safety and free safety, because they have Jeff Heath. Xavier Woods is going to miss week 1. Then it's Kevon Frazier, and honestly, their number 4 safety might not be in the roster because Tyree Robinson's an undrafted first-year guy. Same with Cam Kelly. Jerron Johnson was teaching high school football 2 weeks ago and is now on the Dallas Cowboys roster. Well, so they need him.
Well, I was coaching baseball 2 years ago. If the Mets are watching, sign me up.
Oh, my God. Not even the Mets are that desperate, Mitchell. The Seahawks, they have kind of prepared, though, for a potential Earl Thomas with Tedrick Thompson, Delano Hill, and then McDougal as well. Mike Tyson potentially an option there as well. So, folks, will Earl Thomas get traded this year? Type Y for yes, N for no. I know a lot of Cowboys fans want him. I don't know if it'll actually go down. What I think maybe the most likely, although it's still relatively low percentages because I'm not sure, you could see Earl Thomas hold out until he absolutely has to come back, then come back and play, and then hit the open market.
Yeah, I think if there's any chance of him being a Cowboy, it's probably next year.
I agree. I think 2019 free agency could be an ideal fit for Earl Thomas. All right, next up on our players who could be traded. I already see it a lot in the comments section right now. Khalil Mack. Now, Mack and the Raiders are not close to a new contract. There aren't even any talks going on right now. And the report that came out yesterday was that the Raiders are asking for at least 2 first-round picks.
Well, I think what should really frustrate Raiders fans is like when people are like, this conversation hasn't progressed since February. What have we been doing since February? Like, this is a guy who needs to be on the field for the Raiders team. And shout out to the Raiders defense, who's been playing actually really well this preseason. Imagine how much better he would be with a guy like Khalil Mack. He's no doubt the best player on defense. I think you could argue he might be more important than Derek Carr, even though I'll still say the quarterback's the most important position. But, like, they had no problem giving Derek Carr a whole bunch of money, and they have no problem giving all these older veterans a whole bunch of money. I don't know, man. I think you just got to pay Mack. Got to pay Mack.
Well, if the Raiders do trade him, here's one potential trade. Now, I already see a lot of them in the comment section on YouTube. Thank you guys very much. Keep them coming. Sticking again with that at least 2 first-round picks and then almost kind of a throw-in player in Jordan Jenkins. If the Raiders want 2 first-rounders, that's their minimum. This is what the Jets might have to offer. And I picked the Jets here as opposed to maybe a team like the Packers who are now very tight on money after the Aaron Rodgers extension. I don't know if they can actually afford it long-term. But this does allow a team that we know has interest to make a trade for Khalil Mack. I mean, there are a bunch of different options in there. I see some Niners in there too.
Not only interest, but the money. Like, the Jets have a whole bunch of money, and right now, from what I've seen, like, the Jets are the front runner for a guy like Khalil Mack.
They can afford him.
Yeah, they can afford him, and that's basically as simple as that.
So, again, if you do lose Khalil Mack, all of a sudden, maybe Arden Key goes to become your next starter. He slides over from behind Bruce Irvin.
Yep.
Maybe Tank Carradine. Not ideal. For the Jets, meanwhile.
I like Hurst, man. I like Hurst as a dark horse and Key. They've been playing well, so.
The Jets, that's not an inspiring edge rusher group. Now, the defensive line is pretty good, but like there are a lot of names that I think you think are made up, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Jets have a good offense, right? Sam Darnold, they don't need to play defense. They'll be fine.
All right, folks, will Khalil Mack get traded this season? I do want to make a note on the Packers, who have been heavily – they definitely have the assets to make that work. In terms of money this year, you might have to say goodbye to Clay Matthews, and it does get a little bit complicated long term, but if they were to cut or trade Matthews – they can make it work, but I don't know if Green Bay really wants to do that. Plus, long term, they're eventually going to run out of money.
I mean, ultimately, though, do I think he's going to get traded this season? My money's going to be no. I think he's just going to sit out a few games, then they're going to get something worked out. You can't get rid of your best player.
All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFL120 for for a 120% deposit bonus.
All right, Tom. So I'm going to be honest with you, and you guys watching might not think this is much of a surprise. I didn't do too hot on my SATs, okay?
Yeah,
so
not surprised.
So if I put down $100, how much am I going to get with our deal?
You get 120 to end up with a total of 220.
SATs.
Extra money right
This
there.
guy.
Not great for me either. Anyway, next up on some trade here. How about Tom Savage? And we already saw one backup quarterback get traded, Teddy Bridgewater, to the Saints. So naturally, you would think the Saints would want to trade away a backup quarterback. They seem to love Taysom Hill as a number 3, which I'm actually okay with. Not a big fan of Tom Savage. So if Savage is on the block, there are several different backup needy teams, and we'll stick with our Oakland Raiders theme here, Mitchell. How about Tom Savage to Oakland? Because John Gruden does not seem to like Connor Cook or E.J. Manuel.
Well, he's not happy, and he shouldn't be. I mean, they were both putrid last week. And I mean, when Gruden was asked, hey, do you have a backup quarterback on your roster? He literally responded with, I don't know. Now, I'll say I don't know if Savage is better than Cook or Manuel. I definitely can say I think Savage is better than Cook because he's looked horrible, like 6 of 15 last week. But, like, it's a situation where, God, they really need to keep Derek Carr healthy in Oakland, or else it is just rough.
JT Barrett could be a practice squad guy there for the Saints as well, and Connor Cook, E.J. Manuel not really inspiring much confidence in the end for the Oakland Raiders. We'll stick with our backup quarterback theme here now and move to our next one, Joshua Dobbs. Now, Dobbs is interesting because a former third-round pick, but he's the odd man out right now. Landry Jones is going to be the backup. Think Rudolph is the guy that Steelers like the most. So why not send him to the Carolina Panthers? We'll say it's a conditional 6th-round selection.
Yep.
Dobbs, I think, would be a better fit play style-wise behind Cam Newton. And the Panthers' backup quarterbacks right now are a disaster. Garrett Gilbert and Taylor Heineke. If Newton goes down, Panthers season is over.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not winning a game.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, Cam's one of those guys who I think is kind of underrated. He's always super healthy, and he gets a ton of rushing touchdowns, ton of rushing yards. He's really durable. And yeah, I like Dobbs, and I think he'd be a much better fit in Carolina offense than the Steelers offense.
All right, some more backup quarterbacks here, and again, continuing to vote on who says no in those trades. Mike Glennon, the report from Rapport is that Glennon is on the trade block. He actually might have some value because his cap hit for a new team is only $1 million. That actually makes it very cheap for a team to go acquire him. Now, there was one report from, again, a Denver-based outlet that said the Denver Broncos have been loosely connected. So how about a 7th-round pick in case they want to get rid of Paxton Lynch, have Kelly be the developmental 3rd guy, and have Glennon as their backup option?
Yeah, again, like I'm not going to get too excited about Mike Glennon. I mean, he was a starter just a year
get excited
ago.
About Mike Glennon.
If anything we should do for Mike Glennon, it's somebody needs to send Mike Glennon a Miz and a main shirt because that dude's going to get swiped left on every time. I mean, that dude is not a good-looking guy. So, Mike, if you're watching, you need to get the Miz and a main shirt, my man.
All right, someone I have hyped up as a trade candidate since before the draft. Hasn't happened yet, and I might take the L on this one. Ameer Abdullah. He's 4th on the depth chart. He's not a long-term fit for the Detroit Lions. I don't think they'll cut him, but I think they played him in week of the preseason with the starters to get some showcasing time. How about he goes to Pittsburgh to provide some extra insurance just in case Lev Bell gets hurt or leaves? Because do you really want James Conner and Jalen Samuels as your top 2 backs? Why not have Abdullah in that mix as well?
Do you really want Ameer Abdullah as your main back? I mean, if there's the one
rotation committee.
If there's one hype train that has just like been stuck, I don't even know if Sheldon Cooper would like that train. Like, it's just one of those that just has not been able to get off the blocks. Like, I don't know, man.
He looks
Ameer
so
Abdullah,
good.
I'm so sick of Ameer Abdullah.
He looked so good against the Jets, and then it just all kind of fell apart.
It's because that defensive line's stellar.
All right, how about some defensive guys here? Shane Ray. Now, you can never have too many pass rushers, but Denver's got quite a few. And there are other teams that are in need of at least some more depth there. So how about a team like, let's throw out the Los Angeles Rams here. Do they make sense for the Denver Broncos, given Wade Phillips is now their DC? So there's some familiarity there.
You kind of took my fire there. That's what I was going to go with. Wade Phillips was an absolute mastermind in Denver. And I mean, I think Wade Phillips is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL right now. And sure, Shane Ray is loaded with talent. He's just kind of a head case, I'll say that. He hasn't been able to do that. But I mean, I like this pick. I mean, Ray's right now battling some stuff out in Denver, and I still think he's ultimately a pretty talented player.
All right, next up, we'll stick with defense here. Quinten Rollins, who is a 2nd-round pick out of my alma mater, Miami of Ohio. Packers are, strange to say this, Mitch, they're kind of deep at quarterback now.
Yeah, I was saying to you, I was like, I can't even believe that we're saying that the Packers, because coming into the draft, you're like, all this team needs is, to protect Aaron Rodgers and to get some cornerbacks. So, unfortunately, though, Tom, I don't think any players on the NFL are coming from my alma mater. We don't even have a football team. So
there you go. Rollins very much on the roster bubble in Green Bay. They get something back, send him to Arizona. Rollins has played mostly cornerback, has dabbled in some safety, even some dime linebackers. So there's some positional flex there. Packers get something back for a guy that they might cut. Arizona gets some badly needed cornerback depth because right now they're about to play Christian Campbell or Brandon Williams as their number 3 guy. I don't like that idea.
I don't even know who they are, Tom.
Exactly. All right, next up here, how about Leonte Carroo, one of the worst draft trades in recent memory, at least outside of the first round.
Yep.
Dolphins give a future 3rd, a 4th, and a 6th to go get Carroo in round 3. He has 10 career catches. That future 3rd became Kareem Hunt, and Carroo might get cut.
Wow. Really? Kareem Hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's phenomenal.
All right, so let's send him to a team like the Colts who are in desperate straits at the wide receiver position. They have T.Y. Hilton, then it becomes Ryan Grant, Chester Rogers, and then the other backups are James Wright, Kassan Williams,
I like Deion
Reese Fontaine.
I like Deion
Kane's
Kane,
hurt.
but now he's hurt. Like, I get it, but like Ryan Grant, I think could actually be okay. Could be okay. I mean, he totally got screwed over by the Ravens. Like, let's just be honest with that. But like, yeah, definitely in desperate need of a wide receiver. Leonte Carroo, though, I'm not too excited about it.
All right, folks, if you like what we're wearing, you can get your own at comfortable.af. Mizden Maine provides the most comfortable shirt you will ever own, Mitchell.
It's literally the best damn dress shirt I own. And if you guys are lazy like me, because I'll be honest, I'm lazy. I don't know how to iron. My mom used to do that stuff for me. I roll out of bed, I throw this bad boy on, and I'm good to go. And yeah, they're comfortable AF, and I think I look good AF. So why not, right?
There you go. All right, next up, we'll stick with the defense thing here we've been on recently. How about DeSean Hall? Now, Hall was not a guy I thought was going to get cut, but the report from Panthers.com, their own website, was that he might be on the roster bubble. Well, the number one rule of roster management, if you're going to cut somebody, try and trade them first. So why not send them to Arizona, where Steve Wilkes happens to be the head coach, the former Panthers DC.
Okay.
And we know Carolina not, Arizona's done the best depth chart over there.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a guy, he can also play multiple positions, which is like something that they're going to miss with a guy like Matthew now with the Texans. So I like this, and yes, the Steve Wilkes connection makes sense to me. But the Carolina Panthers, man, they're just getting rid of cornerbacks and defensive players, and do they really even have that solid of a defense? I'm not quite sure.
All right, some more defensive guys. Hau'oli, Kikaha. The Saints have been trying to trade him for some time. We'll send him to the Rams again, much like the Shane Ray trade, although not quite as much going back because Kikaha's kind of miscast, I think, as a 3-4 outside linebacker, or as a Sam linebacker. He's better as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Maybe he could fill that role with the Los Angeles Rams. A bigger name, though, that NJ.com is kind of hyped up as a trade option is Ronald Darby. Now, I don't really agree with this one necessarily, but if he did get dealt, it would probably be to a team like the Miami Dolphins, who have been trying to find quarterback help, and the Ads would probably start at a third-round pick, because that's what the Eagles would hope to get as a compensatory selection.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know if...
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it either for a guy like Darby. I mean, they're probably just looking at... I mean, I don't know. Is it crazy to say that the Dolphins might have the second best defense in that division?
No, that's not good. All right, I don't want to think about that anymore. Mackensie Alexander next up. NFL.com pegged him as a trade candidate. They have Terrence Newman. They have Mike Hughes. I liked Alexander coming out. Hasn't quite lived up to it. A team like the Giants, though, are in need of a nickel cornerback after they drafted Sam Beal, and then he went down for the entire year. So let's throw in a conditional fifth-round pick for that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings defense, I think, is one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're loaded, I think, literally like all over the place. And I think the Giants are going to have a bounce-back year in terms of defense. So for like this guy, I don't mind it so much, but I don't really. I mean, this trade to me, I think actually makes sense.
Vikings could use some more draft picks because they have a lot of money being tied up in the near future. A fifth-round conditional pick, which could become a fourth or sixth or whatever, is worthwhile, I think.
For sure.
Today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFL120. When you deposit, you'll get a 120% deposit bonus.
It's the best deposit bonus on the internet. And guys, I know you guys on YouTube are always throwing up that goat emoji. This is the goat emoji of deals. Like, it really is. Like, you
it's the
can't
Deion
find a better
Sanders
one.
of deals.
Oh, the Deion Sanders.
Yes, the GOAT cornerback and my all-time favorite player.
Is Deion the GOAT? I don't
Yes,
know.
a cornerback, yes, he is.
This
I
is
will
the GOAT
fight
of deals.
anyone.
This is the GOAT of
I'll fight
deals.
you Redskins fans who say it's Darryl Green.
Oh, get off me.
Speaking of the Cowboys, how about Charles Tapper as a trade chip? Now, the upside's still there, but he's played in 2 career games because of injuries. 1 sack in those 2 games, though, so good production in the 2 games that he's played. How about he goes to the Colts, who have Matt Eberflus as the DC, who was last with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, sure. It's a defense. It's a team that literally needs as much help as they can
Young
possibly
talent,
get.
right there.
And that's what they need to do. They just need to keep building because as long as Andrew Luck can stay healthy, this is just one of those teams where, it can be, You'd like to think that they could be good. I just don't want to see them waste away Andrew Luck's talent anymore.
One more big name on defense, Shaq Lawson. Now, he was reportedly on the roster bubble for Buffalo, which didn't make sense to me from a salary cap perspective. But if you're trying to trade somebody, well, that's how you generate some hype around a potential Shaq Lawson trade. I think he has some value. We'll go a little bit different for our last trade option here because the Bills' offensive line, as we saw against the Bengals in Week 3, is bad. How about they get Joshua Garnett, who has also been on the roster bubble in San Francisco, and will throw in a 6th-round pick?
Yeah, and I mean, also this also helps those 49ers who have really struggled against like the run, and Lawson's just a big dude who can really clog it up. So I think like this one makes sense for both sides of it, and the Bills just need to be able to protect their quarterbacks because, well, quarterbacks their quarterback situation, Tom, is grandma getting out of the tub. Right there.
All right, folks, so let us know who says no to that trade, the Niners or the Bills. Maybe the Bills should actually try to ask for a little bit more given Garnett's issues in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, too. I mean, it's also a 6th-round pick, so, I mean, it's one of those things. And personally, for me, like Shaq Lawson, when he was coming out of Clemson, was a guy that I was super, super high on. I mean, he's really talented. He's a big guy up the middle. And, again, if you could just clog up holes in a 49ers team, that's what you're looking for, man.
All right, we're going to do something a little bit different tonight for everyone watching. We're going to have our NFL Week 4 preseason watch party on YouTube. You shouldn't have to change streams on Facebook. It'll be on our Dallas Cowboys by Chat Sports page. We'll keep this on loop until that starts at 8 p.m.